Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cab Gab. I'm Galloway Stevens, and this is the place where friends and followers of Oregon Cabaret Theater can tune in to stay connected, informed, and most importantly, entertained. Entertained. On today's episode, we are going to be meeting with Jared Freiburg. Oh, man, if any of you missed our production of Million Dollar Quartet, and Jared Freiburg's performance as Jerry Lee Lewis, I don't know what to tell you. You missed out. Excited. He is going to be returning with us this fall for the Cabaret series. And so let's get to it.
I'm good. How are you, Galloway?
I'm doing really good. Oh my gosh, it's
so
great to see your face.
It's so good to see your face, and I'm liking what you got going on right here. This is I need to take. Is this like the quarantine stash, or are you trying out for a Western film? What is this exactly?
All of the above. All the above.
Why not? Why not? New employment opportunities. You're gonna bring Western. I love it.
New times, new stash. Yeah. How are things going for you?
They're good, man. Thanks for asking. All things considered, I don't have really too many complaints. I'm staying at my mom's right now. This is one of the upstairs rooms in Des Moines.
We're so excited to have you back, man.
I'm so
our audiences fell in love with you when you came to join us in 2018 for Million Dollar Quartet, playing Jerry Lee Lewis.
That was the best time ever, wasn't it? Like 2 years, more than 2 years ago. That's crazy to think about.
Isn't that weird? It's so weird.
That long.
It's really has gone down as one of my favorite productions that I've been a part of, not just here with the Cabaret, but I was just so stoked to be a part of that show. It was one of those, like, back when Million Dollar Quartet came out years and years ago, I was like, well, I have no future about being in this show yet because I do not play an instrument. But I had my eyes set on playing Mr. Sam, and so I was just really stoked to be able to do it, and to be able to do it with such a talented team, including yourself.
Oh, well, I appreciate that, and I have to extend the same compliment back to you, because I've worked with many Sams in 7, 8 different productions of Million Dollar Quartet. I mean, I'm like, you've got that Southern charm that commands the room. I mean, I remember when we first started rehearsal, and you and I were having a chat on the side there about how, like, while this wasn't you didn't have as many direct memories with this specific type of music. It was really close to your father. You know what I mean? So, like, it actually reminded you a lot of your father in doing Sam Phillips and exploring that character. So I can tell it was really, really special to you. And when we were doing those sometimes really hard scenes, it's easy for Sam's to kind of gloss over some of those really personal things, especially because it is 50s and, the whole, like, manly stereotype of the time. But, like, this show, as you know, has always transcended kind of the stereotypes of that time period and bringing it into the 2020s. And I gotta say, you did an excellent job, and it was always a pleasure sharing the stage with you, because you always kept that emotion driving. Because sometimes it's hard to keep it going. It's like a one-man show. You're narrating the whole time. That's just as part of playing and singing. Believe me. It's crazy.
You're too kind. You're absolutely too kind. I really did. That show would not have been anywhere near, I think, as special for me had I not been able to build off of the exuberant just energy that came out of you and your fellow colleagues that we all shared that stage with. But you just to start that show every day with you. I've done many shows where I've gone on stage and I'm like, do I have it today? Do I have the energy to get through? And man, I would get out there with you and you'd start pounding on that piano, and I was like, you left me no choice. You left nobody a choice, including the audience. You just left nobody a choice about, no, the energy's here.
Yeah, that's it's. And I kind of felt the same way some days too. I always kind of equated it like going to the gym almost. It's like, the hardest part is actually just going, you know what I mean? It's actually getting in your car, putting on your shorts, the costume and everything. And, like, always for me, the hardest part of any performance day is just up until starting, you know what I mean? And then once we're off and running, like, it's the same thing, feeding off the energy of the audience, feeding off the energy of your fellow castmates and everybody like that. And the nice thing was, like, the dynamic between all of us was so good. Like, we were all really good friends, and we would hang out after shows, and we would, check in with each other on off days and stuff like that. I mean, it's very easy, as you know, some cast to maybe not talk after a show, or, you know, once the curtains close, they go their separate ways. But it was nice to have that genuine kind of community connection with the whole group. And we all really loved each other. And I miss those days, really, because that was like some of the best couple of months of my life, and beautiful Ashland too, you know. I mean, it was like, it was paradise, and I really took it for granted, especially, you know, in reflecting now of all the places I've been and done. Like, Ashland obviously is so close to my heart, and that's why I leaped at the chance to come back when Valerie reached out to me and was like, hey, you know, we're kind of going for it, and I'm really impressed with all the you know, the improvements that the company has made, and, you know, and the building and everything like that. And I honestly have no hesitation or doubts that it's going to be completely safe and completely on the up and up. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of the reopening scheme, you know, because I know it's hard, and I know it's a long fight. You know, it's going to be great.
It is. It's a long fight. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Oregon Cabaret Theater has been, you know, working diligently and really hard at making sure that we are keeping safety measures in mind for not only our audience members, of course, but for everyone who's in the building, everybody who works for us.
And some of the best audience members in the country out there. I mean, you're following, and your subscribers, and your townsfolk, and the people who come from out of state, obviously, you know, that come in all the time from all over the country and the world to come see Oregon Cabaret Theater. I mean, they know what they're coming for, because quality is definitely part of the brand that you've built for a long time. And it's I would never pass up a chance to come back. I mean, we've always said, you know, every year if we can, and this is great. I mean, like, I think, you know, we were just there in February, I think the middle of February, and I want to assure viewers that maybe went to that show that the set list is going to be almost completely changed. So it's going to be all new songs, going to be mostly completely new content, some repeats, you know what I mean? But I'd say at least 80% of the set is going to be all new tunes, most of which none of us have performed live, and stuff that I've worked on over the past 6 months. So it's all going to be a surprise for those who may have come in February and think they don't want to see the same thing. Well, I promise it's not going to be the same thing. It's going to be different arrangements, and be playing more songs on guitar, some different bits, some that are just solo piano. So we're still kind of working out exactly how we want to frame it, but it's going to be nice to take some chances and take some risks, and have your patrons be the guinea pigs in a sense, you know.
Oh, but that's what makes it exciting. That's one of the things I love about when we get to do featured shows like a Cabaret series, the one night only series that we're known for here, is that sometimes the acts that come in, they say to us, they're like, look, this is going to be my first audience. I've done this, you know, maybe for some friends or for some colleagues in a private setting or what have you, but this is going to be my first audience. But there's excitement in that. That's something I never fear sharing that with our audience, because to me, that's what people want to be. They want to know that they're in on the ground. If they feel like, oh, I'm a part of this, I'm going to teach this performer basically what an audience might expect, or how an audience is going to respond. I'm going to be a part of that, building this show for them. Because, you know, a lot of people don't realize that we take these shows and these experiences and we carry them elsewhere. We go elsewhere. So every time is a learning experience for us as performers, to, you know, how the show becomes and molds into something.
It's so important, that sweet spot, and you're exactly right, because, you know, it's like whenever I approach a song that maybe I know, you know what I mean, but maybe don't know how to play, you know, I try to learn it. I try to sing it a bunch on my own, maybe for somebody else, or practice with the band, of course. But then it's like, we're doing that for the first time. I mean, energy is one thing, but the adrenaline type of energy that you get from trying something for the first time and really just going ahead and diving into the deep end, and then having that audience go with you, and, you know, and you can feel their support under you like that. I mean, that to me is like the most quintessential, like, joy of being an artist, a live performing musician.
Where did your passion start with even, you know, meeting the piano? Like, where did that start for you? Why, you know, what drove it to be such a leading force for you?
Well, I'll tell you, I first was really introduced to the sound of my grandmother. So my dad's mother, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my parents split up. They separated and got divorced. So Dad would drop me off at grandma's for long weekends while they kind of went through those whole proceedings. And so, you know, I spent a lot of time over at my grandma's, as it was growing up anyways. They lived in Des Moines, and we were the only my father was her only child that actually stayed in Des Moines, Iowa, and the rest were kind of scattered across the country. So we were very, very close to grandma and grandpa that way. So grandma played a little bit of piano. She wasn't a professional pianist per se, but she played throughout the years, and grandpa played guitar. So they would kind of both introduce me to those instruments, and I seemed to like to play the piano a little bit more, but I was going in there and just like tickling and like really just making really bad noises and stuff like that. But so she would kind of get me started on little things, like Heart and Soul and Peter Pumpkin Eater and all these little cute little tunes, And my mom would come pick me up from grandma's at the end of the weekend, and she noticed that I had kind of a predilection to play a little bit and try to figure it out. And when I was about 6.5, she threw me in piano lessons that were taught by this little old lady who lived across the street from the high school. And this lady's name was Sally Meyer. And when I started with her in 2002, she was 80 years old, and she was blind in one eye and 70% deaf. Wow. And she was an incredible piano teacher.
Me and my dad stayed in this motel last night. Couldn't either one of us believe it. The outhouse was inside. You just pull on that damn handle.
Like you said, everything changes day by day, and who knows? Maybe I get out there and things are a lot worse. But the point is, we're trying, right? The point is, we're not laying down and dying, and rolling over to this thing. Like we got to take precautions. We got to take it seriously and soberly, but we got to keep living. We got to keep making people happy.
We have to keep.
You have to keep making art. Otherwise, no hope will remain, even when this is done. You know what I mean? Like, we just got to keep on going. So I'm really happy that your philosophy, the team there at Oregon Cab, is to keep pushing. And that's it's really admirable, and just I really appreciate the opportunity. And I'm not going to let you guys down.
Well, listen, we're stoked to have you here. You are going to be appearing with us September the 25th through the 27th, October the 2nd through the 4th, and then again October the 9th through the 11th. So audience members are going to have plenty of opportunities to catch you, and some of them will probably even try to get a returning seat. Who knows? I wouldn't doubt it, and I can't wait to see you either. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be so much fun. Well, thank you so much, Jared, for doing this today. And,
absolutely, it's my pleasure.
We'll see you soon. Oh, so wonderful talking to this guy. I just think the world of him. And so, Jared, thank you so much for joining us here on Cab Gab. Cab Gab, Cab Gab, Cab Gab, Cab Gab. Yeah, it was a special episode. I'm so excited. Please do not miss this. You don't want to miss this. So make sure you pick up that phone and call our box office, 541-488-2902, to make sure that you get your ticket for Jared Freiburg and the Vagabonds. All right, beyond that, if you want to catch and see what else is also happening during our Cabaret series this fall, you can go to our website, OregonCabaret.com. Last but not least, if you would like to share anything with me, if you have a question, a comment, send it my way, all right? Send it to me, Galloway Stevens, via email address, cabgab@OregonCabaret.com. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate you, and the Oregon Cabaret Theater appreciates you. We'll see you soon.